Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Please just give me 2 minutes for Facebook to get this video visible to everyone. Okay. Thank you for being here. All right. I am so excited that you made it here. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Come right in and let us know where you're joining us from. Okay. Yes. Great. Welcome, everyone. I can see that people are joining. I just cannot see who is here. Just come on in and let's say a quick hello. It will be great to have a chat with you this morning. Thank you for being here. Welcome. Let's give me one more minute. So I have this on your page, Laura. I have this on your page, Laura. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you. This is great. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Civilized Presence. It's so good to have you here this morning. I am so excited that you made it here. But just do me a favor and jump on in to the comment box below and let me know that you're here and just say hello. Okay. So just 1 second. There you go. Come in and say a quick hello and let us know where you're joining us from. Welcome. I have to apologize that we're slightly late this morning because of technical difficulties, but it's going to be a great message, so you want to be here. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Civilized Presence, and welcome, Jabber. It's great to have you here in the house. I know we're slightly late. I got some messages, and thank you for just giving me a soft nudge and say, Louisa, where are you? This just kind of shows me that we appreciate what we're doing. So I want to say thank you so much. So the Civilized Presence is an online TV session where lives are changed and where people discover their voice and their self, their purpose, and learn social skills that is required to thrive in the real world. So you are in the right place if you are here. And if you're watching us on replay, welcome. Hello, Ella. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for making our time to be here. Yes, we're slightly late, but we're ready to go. It's great. We have the best, our guest today. You want to learn from her. She's amazing, and you're about to find it out. So some of you do not know who I am. My name is Louisa Akaiso, and I am your host for today. Now, I feel so honored that you responded to the post, the flyer. I don't know how you got here. Did you see it on your friend's page? Do me a favor by just stepping out for 1 second and share this video on your page, on your friend's page. Invite your friends and families and your neighbors too. Maybe your enemies if you have some, because it's a great message. Put it on your business page. We want to have more people. And guys, give us the likes, give us the thumbs up, give us the love. Because when you do that, Facebook is able to share this video with a lot more people. And so if this message is good for you, I believe it's going to be good for somebody else in your network. So you want to invite them to be part of what we're doing. So Louisa Akaiso is a certified master civility trainer. And let me tell you, we have just about 12 of them all over the world. And so I'm really excited. I don't know, some of you ask me, what's a civility trainer? Yes. So what we do, we're in the business of conducting trainings and certifications for people who want to become professionals. And I'll tell you more about what Laura, my guest, does, because she does something similar in London, UK. So it's so great to have you here, Laura. And I'm also a leadership coach and trainer with the John Maxwell team. Now, I work confidently with leaders and professionals that place great importance in themselves and their reputation. And of course, I know that's going to be you this morning because you made out time to be here. So thank you and welcome. I appreciate you making out time to be here. Now, if it's your first time, because we always have new people in in the house all the time. The main goal of this Facebook series is really to help restore civility, etiquette, true, meaningful, and constructive conversations, and just kind of creating an awareness on the importance of why we should be civil and how easy it is for us to do that. And if you've been following me, some of the examples that I share is as easy as beginning with please and thank you, or even good morning. How many of you were able to say good morning to someone, not in passing, but with a smile? Because I know in passing is very easy. People just walk by you and just good morning, don't really mean it. But in the civilized presence, you're going to learn that when we do pay attention and just spend that 1 minute or one pause and to say that to someone, you're really putting a smile on their face. And you know what? You are going to help to ease their experience for that day because they could be going through something and they were just looking for someone to say hello. So if you've never been civil before, that's okay because you can begin right after this session. And that's why you have to be here with me every Mondays and Fridays because you're going to learn bits and tips that's easy for you to just kind of step out there and be the best you can be. So let me share with you a definition of civility. And I've chosen one from P.F. Funny, Dr. P.F. Funny. I call him the grandfather of civility. He left us 2 months ago, a few months ago, but I know he's here with us in spirit and he loves what we're doing. We're still continuing to pass on the message. And that definition states that being civil is being constantly aware of others and weaving restraint, respect, and consideration into that very fabric of awareness. So, civility is a form of goodness, it's gracious goodness. Civility is being responsible for your actions, paying attention to what's happening around you, mindfulness. You could call civility courtesy, politeness, respect, whatever is going to work for you. The golden rule, treating others the way you want to be treated. Because I find that when we have to ask ourselves that hard question, if I was on the other side of the table, how would I feel? Trust me, right there, the light bulb comes on and you realize that you probably have to adjust your habit, your character, whatever is happening at that time. So now the show is not about me today. We have a special guest in the house, so I'm going to back up for a minute and allow Laura to say hello to the audience. Over to you, Laura.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, because I know people tend to join these sessions from different parts of the world. And I'm Laura
Absolutely.
Akano. So, welcome and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Laura. We're so excited to be learning from you from London, UK. So, who are those from London, UK? Come on in and just give us a thumbs up and let Laura know that you were here. And welcome, Masir, Brandon. It's great to have you in the house. Thank you so much. Thank you. It is amazing. And welcome, Jacqueline. It's great to have you here in the house. And guys, welcome, Joy. Welcome, Diana. It's great to have you here in the house. So, I have like 3 screens here, guys. So, pardon me. And that's why I'm going to be looking around a bit and just to get people recognize you guys and just treat you like a VIP that you are. When you come to the civilized presence, let me tell you, we treat you like a VIP because you're very important to me. Without you, the show will not go on. So I have to appreciate you and I love you. If I haven't mentioned your name, it's not because I don't care. I love you very much, but it's just probably you're not directly on my personal page or my business page. So do me a favor, can you start up a watch party? Facebook has just created this new a facility that you can start up a watch party with the video. If you love it, start up a watch party on your page and invite more people to be part of what we're doing. So now let me tell you a bit more about our guest today. Her name is Laura Akano, and Laura is a certified etiquette trainer and coach. Welcome, Morel from London, UK. It's great to have you here in the house. She's also a qualified child care and play work practitioner. Laura is the CEO of Polished Manners UK. You know what, Laura? When I saw that, I said, "Oh, it's time for me to be polished." If I wasn't, I love that. I love that. And
Thank
so,
you.
if that's something that you're struggling with, you're in the right place. So, bring on the question, okay? So, Polished Manners UK is an etiquette and social skills training and consulting company. She has contributed to etiquette related topics on radio and in newspapers. Laura was recently featured in a BBC program, Back in Time for School. I want to believe that all of you know what BBC is, at least you listen to the news. She has been working with children since 2001 and is passionate about helping children and young people develop and improve their social skills through etiquette training. Laura also teaches adults interested in developing soft skills through business and social etiquette training. And Laura's mission is to make etiquette training more accessible and not just for the elite. She teaches in a fun, practical, modern, and relevant way that can be applied to everyday life. Ha! Thank you, Laura. That just kind of gives me hope because every Mondays and Fridays we have different professionals and experts from all over the world. And you know what? I can share all the definition that I have. But there is always someone that you can learn from. You might not have learned from me, but you're going to learn from Laura today. You connect better with Laura. And I can see other people coming on board. And thank you so much, Kotresh Bankapur. Thank you guys for joining us here. If I get your name wrong, please pardon me. When I try it again, I'm going to get it right. I promise you. So thank you for being here. And please start up a watch party on your page. Share it on your page. Invite friends and family. I'm so excited that you are here. We have a great message today. How many of you got a chance to see the topic of the day? Just say me. Yes, me. Just give me a thumbs up and let me know that you saw the topic of today. But if you did not, it's a great topic that affects everyone. And don't come up saying, Louisa, I don't have a baby. I don't have a young child. You have a sibling. You have a cousin. You have people in your community that need this message. And you can just be that ambassador right after the session to share it out. So the topic of today is encouraging our youth to be a leader of self and respect for other people. And it's something that we struggle with our young people. We love them very much, but sometimes respect for others is very difficult. It's not because they don't want to, but it's just easier to be selfish. Don't you think so? I mean, it's just easier to just think about yourself alone. Um, Thinking about other people and respecting other people is really an intentional step. Guys, it's not just going to happen even as an adult because you want to keep everything to yourself. You remember when you were a little child? I don't know about some of you, but for me, growing up, I always wanted to say, me, me, me. This is for me. This is for me. You don't want to share it. And so we get to grow up with that attitude. But there is a time in your life when you have to say, this is the time to stop. And if you're not able to do that, this is why we're sharing this with you. We have a lot of sessions to kind of nail it down and just kind of remind you on why it's so important for us to respect other people, for us to think about other people, for us to be responsible for just taking notice of what the impact of our actions, of our words, of our behavior would be on other people. And welcome, I can see other people joining from So Unique. Juman Hussein, it's great to have you here. It's happened to me many times. So annoying. That's right. Yes, that's happened to me a lot. You have the sibling and you want to share food with them, and they said, no, 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 this is for me. They don't want to share it. But we get to grow up with it. We didn't plan to grow up with it, but it just kind of shows up because it's right there in your subconscious. And so when you're in a situation, the first thing you're thinking about is yourself before other people. Now, in the civilized presence, and of course, I brought the expert Laura Akano all the way from London, UK, to say to you this morning, that's not right. We're ready to change. In order for us to make the world a better place, we have to be the change that we want to see in the world. And so with the young people, we find that things that excite them are maybe their milestones. I'm finishing college, I'm going into this college, or, my mom bought me a new outfit. Some great things, makes more meaning and brings a smile to their face. But when you leave the session today, I want you to be responsible and just make sure that when you find the young people around you, whether it's in your family, in your community, that you take the time to teach them how important it is for them to have the right social skills. And I'm not talking about just being polite, but respect is the big thing. When we say respect, people just think that respect is just saying hello to the next person. But no, you can say hello and you don't really mean well. Yes. And so we have to do this. Our young people look up to us, they need to learn. So we, first of all, have to make the change. And I brought Laura today. So I'm going to back off for Laura to just continue to do her thing. And Laura, how this works really is to get started with the questions. We begin the conversation. We might have a question or two from the audience, and we just take it from there. So,
Okay.
my very first question for you today would be, Laura, what does civility mean to you? And over to you, Laura.
Thank you, Louisa. Civility to me, as far as I like to teach my young people, is really starts with respect for yourself, for your environment, for others. It's respect for how you talk to people and how you treat people. That,
Mm.
to me, in essence, is what civility is all about. It encompasses kindness and just really having integrity as well. I think that's one of the key things that I say. So how you speak to people, how you treat them, um, in terms of the things you do, the things you say, that is all part of what civility is about. How we do we respect other people's beliefs and people's opinions, people's ideas. This all ties into what civility is about.
Thank you so much. Respect for other people, kindness. And this is what we talk about all the time. And welcome, Moses. It's great to have you here in the house. Thank you so much for being part of what we're doing. It's so good to have you. Margaret James, it's great to have you here. The topic of today is encouraging our youth to be a leader of self and respect for other people. So come on in. If you have your contributions, please put it in the comment box below and ask your question because we have the expert in the house. So it's so good to have all of you here. Now, this takes me to my very next question, Laura. What do you mean by a leader of self? I think, you know, there are people on this show who will probably have never come across that term before.
Okay.
And so I don't want to, just assume. What do you mean when you say a leader of self? What does that mean to you? Over to you,
Okay.
Laura.
Thank you, Louisa. Now, what I mean by being a leader of self simply is how do you present yourself? How do you live your life on a daily basis? What things do you do? Are you someone that maybe turns up to school on time, turns up for your lectures on time? When you say you will do something, would you do you actually do it? How do you appear to people? How do you present yourself in terms of your appearance, how you speak? Do you manage your coursework do you manage your schoolwork, your things you need to do? Are you able to get things done on time? Are you organized? Are you responsible? Are you reliable? These are the things that I feel will tell others whether you can actually lead other people, because to lead other people you need to be able to lead yourself first, and it's about being in as much control as you can of the things you do on a daily basis. So I have maybe netball practice tomorrow. Today, this evening, have I made sure that everything I need, my kit is ready for tomorrow? There's a project that needs, or an assignment that I need to hand in next week, maybe next week Friday. Have I paced myself to make sure that that assignment, I give myself enough time to do it well and submit it on time? I've been given a date for an interview, or there's an occasion I need to go to. It starts at 3 o'clock. Do I turn up to places on time? Do I keep to time? Do I keep my promises? And these are all the things that I'm talking about when it comes to being a leader of self. Because if you can't manage yourself and your day-to-day activities in your daily life, then how can you lead other people? So I'm hoping that sort of makes sense in terms of what I mean by being a leader of self.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for taking the time to explain that. And welcome, Melissa. It's great to have you here. And welcome, Julie Brandon. Yay! It's great to have you here, my friend. Image consultant and founder of Fashion Week Lake Charles. It's great to have you here. Thank you. It's such an honor that you stopped by and said hello in our session. It's great to have you here. Okay, so this takes me to the very next question. Laura, I want you to kind of share this with our audience. What's the benefit of having etiquette or civility training for young people? Why is this so important? And over to you, Laura.
Okay, thank you for that question. The one of the key benefits that I know definitely young people gain, and even adults, from civility and etiquette training is that confidence when you're in different environments or different situations. That etiquette training and civility training gives you the know how and the knowledge to know how to conduct yourself in different environments. So, be it your own country or you go to other places, because one of the key things that I teach in my classes is cultural awareness. And if you know that, okay, in the UK, this is how we eat, this is how we dress, then you certainly should be aware that when you go to other countries, they probably eat differently, perhaps without cutlery. They probably dress differently. So, etiquette training increases that awareness that, okay, I need to adapt to the different environments I find myself in or the different situations. It gives you that knowledge and extra confidence that you need to know that, yes, wherever I go, with the skills I have, I can adapt. I should be okay. And that is what I believe etiquette training does. Obviously, it encompasses a lot of things from your presentation to how you speak, to the knowledge you have, to how you treat people. All of these things, as far as I'm concerned, basically enable people to gain confidence through etiquette training, and it prepares you for life, careers. When you go to work for maybe different organizations professionally, what is expected in terms of your conduct at work. Simple things like being able to send an email correctly, how to address your maybe your managers or people who are older or senior. These are all the things that etiquette training can give you. How to behave in public when you're on an airplane, maybe you're going somewhere, maybe you're on public transport, train, buses, different places that you could be, and there are unwritten codes quite often in terms of expectations and how you are expected to behave. And to be honest, a lot of this is lacking in society at the moment. Whether you're on public transport or you go to the movies, why is your phone on? Why are you having a discussion on a bus or a train full of people? And they have to be subjected to your conversation, whatever it is. It's obviously not often interesting to other passengers. So these are the benefits that etiquette training give to people, especially young people, knowing how to behave in different situations and how to conduct themselves. So I hope that sort of sheds a light on that particular question.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. Welcome, Anidi. It's great to have you here from Canada. Thank you so much. Encouraging our youth to be a leader of self and respect for others. And so I'm having a chat with Laura Akano, all the way from London, UK. She is an etiquette coach and trainer in London, UK. So thank you so much. So just kind of hang on tight. We just getting things started and hitting up here. So you bring your questions and comment in the box below. Let us know what your contributions are, Ella. I saw that your likes and loves are not working, but if you can just comment and just give us a thumbs up in the comments, that's fine. That shows us that you're with us and you agree with what's going on, because we want to have more and more um, um, conversation here. If we get busy, what happens is that Facebook is going to make this available for everyone. And welcome, Doris from Virginia. It's great to have you here in the house. Thank you so much. So this takes me to the next question, Laura. Now, with the young people, most of them still live with their parents. Um, and they spend a lot of time with their parents. I know they have to go to school, but sometimes they spend a lot of time at home. Why do you think this is so important for the parents to be part of getting educated? What kind of trainings should parents be part of in order for them to be the right role model for the children? Over to you, Laura.
Thank you again for that question. I think, in terms of parenting, there is no rule book, as we all know. So, you have this child, and quite often, most of us will bring up our children perhaps based on the background and the upbringing that we have had. And sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. But I think part of parenting nowadays is really to be aware and to be enlightened in terms of the best practices, and really, I've got this young person, I'm going to send them into the real world. I need to be an ideal role model. So one of the first things that I think as parents we should have is our morals. And there seems to be a lot of that lacking in modern society. And I'm talking from simple things like, people moving from one partner to another, or the way you can dress how you like, it doesn't really matter. In some cases, some celebrities don't exactly show good examples. And a lot of young people look at this, perhaps even some adults, and think, that is the right way to live. But I think as parents, we owe it to our young people to be good role models, to live our life in a way that shows that no, there is a right way and a wrong way to live. And you do your best as best as you can to bring your young people up. So if the parents themselves are lacking in terms of knowledge and social skills, and not really haven't had the guidance growing up as to what is acceptable within society and what isn't, then it is quite difficult to bring up a child in a way that is acceptable, at least within society as it is now. I can give examples of situations where I've had parents. One told me about a 9-year-old given a project, and because they couldn't be bothered to do it, and they were not going to do it, the parent actually came to the school, had a go at the teacher. My child is not interested, doesn't want to do this, and I'm telling you he is not going to do it. And that was basically okay as far as that parent was concerned. And they were proud to tell me that, oh no, they're not doing it. And I told the teacher what's what, and that was it. Now that young person is going to grow up into society. Who's going to employ someone like that? Or you're given a task or something, you say because you're not interested or you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. So I think as parents, we have a lot of responsibility in what we're showing our children, because as they say, young people will copy what they see, how you behave, how you conduct yourself, not what you're telling them, because it's easy for us to say, you have to do this, you have to do that, but it's actually they model a lot of what we a lot of how we behave and how we act. So it's so important that parents do their very best in terms of basic morals, basic manners, and just trying their best to bring young people up as best as society, as best as society can allow and accept. I read a post this morning from a lady, and she was talking about the fact that the government or society has taken away a lot of power from parents in terms of bringing up their children and discipline. And because of that, it's that's why we have a lot of the problems we have nowadays. And I had to agree with her to a certain degree that yes, we do have a nanny state, because you can't do this, you can't tell them off, you can't. I'm not an advocate for smacking or things, but for their actions there always should be consequences in terms of what's how they behave, or the consequences of what they say and what they do. And so, really, wrapping up on that particular topic, I think parents really need to take a good look at themselves, because we can blame the schools, we can blame the government, but at the end of the day, basic training, basic etiquette, basic manners and conduct, the training starts from home. not from school, not from anywhere else, but from home and the community around you.
Thank you so much, Laura. We had a contribution from Ella. Most young children are a reflection of their parents' choices and decisions. And that's very correct. So, parents, there's no hiding place. Okay. You don't want to just sit back and keep doing your old self and send your kids out for etiquette training. It's not going to help just being in a workshop for a couple of days. You, the parent, have to be the example too,
Yeah.
and that's what Laura is sharing with us today. And we have programs for parents, effective parenting. We find that parenting is different from in different parts of the world, of course, because of culture and all of that.
Mhm.
But Laura, I just wanted you to talk about something else in terms of parenting, and that has to do with parents micromanaging the children or shielding them from failure and disappointment. What do you feel about that? Over to you, Laura.
I get quite saddened by a lot of what I see, and a typical example was the recent arrests in America. Some of the actors and celebrity parents that paid for people to sit admission exams to some of the some of the prestigious universities in America, or in some cases they
I
paid
think we
the.
lost you there for a minute. Can you take that back? We lost you
Okay,
there.
okay,
So
can
if you
you?
can take that back, please.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? Yes,
Yes, please.
I started off with an example of the recent arrests of some parents in America who had paid for their children
Mm,
to go to be admitted to some of the prestigious universities in America. And these are the
mm,
kind of things that I am talking about, that we need to allow our children to experience failure. We need to allow them to make their own choices and decisions. Yes, they
mm,
can be guided, but we can't wrap them up in cotton wool. Oh, I don't want them to get upset. Oh, I don't want them to get hurt. Oh, they need me all the time. They can't make this decision themselves. That is really not preparing an adult of the future. You are not preparing them for the world ahead, because at the end of the day, you cannot live another person's life, no matter how much you want to shield them. The harsh reality is they have to go out into the big wild world. One example I was told not too long ago as well was a recent graduate who started working for an organization, and I couldn't believe that they would go and ask their line manager when spring break was. This is someone
mm,
who had just graduated and did not realize that the working life is a whole different setup to when you're in school. There are no spring breaks and things like that. So, so that I couldn't believe, but it was true. So what I'm saying here is we need to allow them to grow. We need to allow them to be independent. We need to allow them, and we need to give them responsibilities. We need to allow them to try things and let them fail if possible. And these are the things that gives them that backbone and that way of developing and knowing that, yes, if I fail, if I try this and it doesn't work, then next time maybe I'll try something another way. But we can't wrap them up in cotton wool. We need to let them grow by giving them responsibilities, by letting them take risks. And when I say risk, obviously, there are limitations to the kind of exposure in terms of risk that I'm talking about. But without them facing challenges, without them taking responsibility for their actions and things, what kind of adults of the future are we bringing up? And this is
mm,
why I feel that parents need to really start taking responsibility for some of the choices young people are making, and some of the decisions they seem to make, rightly or wrongly, because at the end of the day, whoever is around, whoever the adults that they have around them, have a lot to answer for in terms of how a young person might turn out. So
mm,
this is what I'm saying, that parents really need to stop shielding. We need to stop shielding them. We need to stop protecting them. We need to let them basically experience the reality of life, so that as they grow up, they will be ready. I mean, they would have those skills to be able to deal with different situations as they arise. But if you've been We use a term in England, mollycoddled. You've been wrapped up in cotton wool, and then all of a sudden you're supposed to start work after graduating, or whatever it is that you skills that you have, and then you're supposed to start mixing with people and knowing how to behave. It's not going to happen because you
Mm.
haven't been given that exposure. So really, I'd wrap that up in that sense. I could go on a lot more, but obviously, we're restricted on time.
Well, thank you so much for that contribution and welcome, Millicent. It's great to have you here, Doris. It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much. It's the Civilized Presence. If you were just joining us, of course, you're in the right place. And the topic of today is one that affects everyone, encouraging our youth to be a leader of self and respect of other people. So this takes me to another question for you, Laura. Now, we find that young people would go to school, have good grades, but they struggle to get a job. The struggle when it's time to be interviewed. And that is, of course, because of so many reasons. It's not sometimes we feel that everything has got to do with what we're doing in school, but we have to get them to understand why it's so important for them to have the right social skills or presence or interviewing skills or whatever that is expected of them. So, can you speak about that and why do we have more and more young people finish school but cannot get the right job? What do they need to do? Over to you, Laura.
Thank you. One of the key issues that, as we all know, even adults experience this, is having the right social skills in terms of, okay, interviews, for instance. How are you appearing? How are you appearing? Not just in terms of your CV, but online as well. That's a key issue. So you need to be aware of your social media presence. What are you posting? What sort of, because employers, as we know nowadays, if they can, they do go and have a look at people on social, their profiles on social media. So that's a key thing in terms of how you're appearing online or generally in terms of social media. Then we've also got, are you prepared for this interview? What preparation do you actually make it when you have an interview? Your dress sense, how you speak, how you carry yourself in terms of posture, your body language, all of these things matter, and not too many people pay attention to it. So you might have a first class degree, and I've had this experience before that a colleague of mine, two candidates that I know, and they went for a job interview. And basically, I wasn't part of the interview. We had someone from one of the Oxbridge, which is basically Oxford and Cambridge. I think they went to
Mm,
Cambridge, had a first class degree. The second candidate had a second class division lower degree, which was a 2-2. Now, you would think that this interview, there was no competition, but the person with the 2-2 got the position. And why? They
mm,
spoke better, their attitude was better, they had been involved in a lot more things whilst they were in university, in societies, they had done charity work, they had developed a lot of social skills, and that is what they were looking for. That yes, we wanted the academic qualification, but we also needed someone that can mix and get on with people. And
mm,
also part of what I was told was the responses to the questions that were given, and they could quite clearly see that the person with the first class degree really lacked social skills, from the way they were sitting, from the time they came in, barely said good
mm,
morning or hello to most people. And this is one of the things I teach the young people as well, that when you go for interviews, from the moment you step in that building or office, or from the moment you walk in, the receptionist, the security man, please make sure you're saying good morning genuinely, smiling
mm,
to everybody. Don't take anybody for granted and don't look down on anybody. You never
mm,
know whether they might ask them. And a lot of companies have been told do that now, where after the interview, they will go and ask the receptionist or the secretary or even the security guard, oh, did that person say, what did you think of them? Just to see how you behaved. So those
Mm,
things are so important. Don't think, oh, because that's just a security guy, I'll just walk past him, or she's just a receptionist. Don't say good morning, don't say anything. Those things can count against you. When you're there also, there's a tendency when we have time on our hands or the phone comes out and you're sitting there. When you go for an interview, for God's sake, I say, just be calm, sit down, make sure you're on time, and take in the environment. Watch what's going on. Simple things like greeting. Don't sit to shake hands. Stand up when the person comes. I even go as far as saying, if it's a female or male or whoever interviews you, thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am, whatever it is, do something different.
mm,
These are just little things make such a difference. We teach them about immediately after the interview. If you can quickly get the name of the person, send a thank you note.
mm,
Just these little things really matter. But I think what we find is, a lot of young people say, or maybe even some adults, they say, oh, it's an interview, I'm qualified, and it's not necessary to prepare. But we all know it's so important to prepare for interviews, or any occasion where you're being interviewed. The key thing is be prepared and don't take anything for granted. And it's the little things that make the difference, from handshakes, being able to make eye contact with people, a smile, making sure you're not slouching, you're sitting up straight. All of these things matter. And
mm.
with my experience with working with young people, a lot of them are not even aware of that. We had one session where I was talking about shoe polish and cloth, and some of them were telling me they never polish their shoes.
Mm,
And these are just little things that you think, oh, they're quite obvious, but quite often they're not obvious. But if you're from a privileged background or you've gone to boarding school, chances are all of these things have automatically been part of your upbringing.
mm.
So this is why I feel that, in terms of interviews and preparing yourself for things, there's so much there, particularly for a young person to learn, in terms of being able to present yourself and giving yourself a fighting chance of getting the position.
Wow. This is, I think that this is such a great message, because we find that a lot of young people do not um, take the pain to take care of themselves. And even the parents, I'm sorry, just let them go. And welcome, Pat Sherry. It's great to have you here, JMT family. Welcome, Gaba. Welcome, Great Rad. Thank you so much. And Millicent, it's great to have you here. So, we are having a conversation about the young people. And so, if you're just joining us, you would have access to this video on replay on my page, or you can join my business page. It's So Unique Experts. And the topic of today is encouraging our youth to be a leader of self and respect for other people. So it's so important for us to bring up our young people the right way. And Laura, my second to the last question for you would be, I noticed that a lot of young people are very noisy. So they go somewhere and they want to be heard. I remember that I had to talk to some young people and they said, you don't have to be noisy for people to perceive that you're smart. And so they talk and end up saying the wrong things. And they grow up being that way. They just automatically feel that because they have a mouth, they should talk. Just keep talking, talking, talking. And after talking, they're on their phone. They don't pay attention to whatever is happening around there. And another thing is grooming in the young people. And of course, believe it or not, guys, when we talk about etiquette and civility, grooming is part of it. Presence is part of it. And so grooming, they don't care. They just show up in whatever way. And so I would like you to speak about that, because I know that this video is going to be seen at least after school with a lot of other young people will have access to this video. Why is it so important for them to communicate the right way, know what to say, how to say, what to say, and when to say it, knowing what is the appropriate thing to wear to certain places? I find a lot of young people in the grocery store in their sleeping wear. That's so sad, because when it becomes a habit, you're going to grow up with it. And parents allow it. Parents allow it. Say, oh no, she's just going down the road. No, that's why it's called a sleeping wear. So please speak about that, because
Okay.
our young people, we are really trying to do our best to put things together. So over to you, Laura.
Okay. Thank you. There's so much in that particular question in terms of young people presenting themselves and knowing, what to wear to different places. As you mentioned, grooming is quite important. And that's something we teach as well in terms of not just your clothing, your nails, your hair,
Absolutely.
what you even wearing, whether I am aftershave, men's aftershave, or ladies scent, or whatever, whatever you choose to spray on, bearing in mind that you shouldn't overpower people. Those are just some of the simple things we talk about. You shouldn't cover yourself in your perfume or your aftershave, because it might be offensive to other people. They might have allergies. So that's just something else. But in terms of how they present themselves when they go out, obviously, one of the things that is seems there seems to be there doesn't seem to be a line between, am I going to the cinema or the movies, as they say in America? Am I going to a place of worship? Am I going to school or a lecture? Or am I going to a party? Because almost everything seems to be acceptable in different environments. And this is one of the things we teach them as well, that obviously, if you're going to a funeral or a wedding, we'd expect you to dress differently, and in the tone and the way you present yourself should be different. If you're going to a disco or a nightclub, the way you should be dressed is very different as well. So again, that's something that we'll talk about. And going to the grocery store or shopping, as we might say in England, and you're in your pajamas or night dress or dressing gown. Some people will put a dressing gown over it. I've actually seen it physically in some stores where the mother and the children were all dressed in their sleeping wear. We've had it here in the UK where parents drop off their school in their pajamas and they have their dressing gown over it. That caused a lot of press engagement not sometime last year. So if you've got a mother or who is happy to drop our children off at school in her night dress or pajamas with a dressing gown over it, what expectations would you have for those children when they grow up? Most likely they
Mm,
will follow suit. So this is part of the problem. And in terms of presenting themselves, they really need to be taught what is acceptable, what isn't. So we go into things semi-formal wear, formal wear, what is appropriate. Are we going, if you're going horse racing for a race meeting, how do you present yourself? What should you wear? And people seem to not like following dress codes. And I've noticed that with adults as well. I've been to places where maybe there's been a color prescribed, or the celebrant has preferred a particular maybe 1920s theme or something. And you just see people just turn up in whatever they choose to wear. So if the adults are doing that, it's very difficult to now correct young people, because that is what they can see. And in terms of communicating with people, I often say your tone of voice, your body language, more than anything, can say a lot. Sometimes you don't even if you don't open your mouth, what your body is saying speaks volumes quite often with young people. So again, is being aware, what what messages am I giving with the way I'm standing, with the way I'm carrying myself, with the way I'm sitting. Again, that's something that we talk about. And for particularly with young ladies, when we have the deportment class, which is really all about posture and poise and body language, and it's often quite hilarious when you get them to try and sit with their legs and ankles together. I would say 80% of young girls actually struggle with that, because they just find it so difficult to keep their posture straight. And we then go on to how to get into a car or exit a car. And I can tell you that is really not, it is really quite difficult for a lot of young people. And what I often think is, okay, so you've got mothers and aunties and, people around you, and no one seems to correct you that no, you can't sit with your legs wide open. I see it when I go out to London on the buses or the tube. You see adult women sit down, and they pretty much you can just see the way they're sitting, and you think, okay, and this shouldn't be happening. So if we have adults who behave like that, then how can we teach the young girls? And a lot of them often say, oh, I never really thought about it, or nobody ever corrected me before. So there's so much in terms of how they communicate, and to me, how you sit, how you stand, how you walk, how you carry yourself. These are all part of you communicating through your body language. You don't have to open your mouth, but then when you do open your mouth, there's a tone, what we call, I'm sure Louisa knows this, the inside voice and the outside voice.
Absolutely.
Even though that outside voice should be louder because you're outside, but it shouldn't be loud enough to disturb the people around you. This is it. Conversations can be, you can have conversation outside, but please, there is a volume, there is a tone. And the same thing I teach them about communication. When you're speaking, sometimes it's not what you say, it's the tone in which it's said. Again,
Mm,
these are the things we sort of practice. And a lot of people think, oh, etiquette and civility training, oh, it's all about knives and forks and things. But from what we've discussed today, you've said a lot, and I've been able to add to it. We can see that there's a lot more to that about the whole person in terms of what they can gain from attending an etiquette session. So I hope this just gives a glimpse of or some insight into the
absolutely.
benefits of what we
Yes.
do.
I love this. I'm enjoying this, and I know that a lot of adults are learning from this as well, because it's not just the children. The adults have a lot to do with that. Sometimes people do not just know how to
Yes.
talk outside. In
Yes.
an airplane, one thing that frightens me, oh my God, one of my pet peeves is when the plane is landing and everyone picks up their phones and wants to communicate with their family, and everyone is screaming and so excited because we're landing. But you could just send a text message. I mean, it is such a small and small space in the aircraft, and everyone is trying to talk at the top of their voice. So I believe that this is going to be very helpful, even for adults as well. And if you're just joining the conversation, it's the civilized presence, and our topic for today is encouraging our youth to be a leader of self and respect for others. And so this is not just for the young people alone, for adults. If you're struggling with any of this, do not be ashamed. It's always good to learn, and we're happy to work with you. I have the etiquette expert, trainer, and coach. All the way from London, UK, Laura Akano, and she's right here in the house. And it's so great. We have Ellie. Ali is here. Look at that, from Canada. She's also an image consultant. It's so good to have you, my friend. I'm so excited to have you here. And so the conversation, it's very important, guys. Research shows us that 85% of our success is based on our social skills. So there is no hiding place. It doesn't matter how intelligent your child is, your neighbor is, your siblings are, or the young people around you. If they do not develop their social skills, they cannot thrive successfully in the world of today. So you have to encourage them to be part of what we're doing. Share this video with them. I'm going to download this video and make sure that it's on YouTube later on today. And if you need some help, we have a lot of sessions for young people. We have training programs for young people. We have one-on-one coaching sessions for young people. If you have people that are struggling, or if you yourself is struggling, we are happy to work with you. So this takes me to our very last question, Laura. Your company is Polished Manners UK. Now, how did you start, and how did you become an etiquette trainer? What inspired or motivated you? Can you share a little bit about your story? Over to you, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you. Really, my motivation for starting Polished Manners was having had about 14 years experience of working with young people in out of school settings and holiday camps, and these were settings that I started up and ran government approved settings. And quite often I struggled with my staff with the behavior of probably majority of the children in the way they spoke to us, in the way they behaved. And sometimes when we do correct them, we've had parents come in and say, "How dare you tell my child off or put my child on timeout or this or that." And that went on, as I said, for about 14 years. And a realization came at a point that, hold on a minute, if the parents don't know how to behave, don't have the social skills, and an understanding of what is acceptable or what isn't, then how can you blame the children? We used to get children jumping on some of the cushions that we had or the tables, and telling this, using rude words to staff. And quite often, when you say to them, "Oh, you shouldn't be doing that," or "You're not allowed to jump around," or "That was rude," and they would quite often, "Oh, I say that to my mom," or my mom allows me to do that at home. And quite often I would say, well, if your mother allows you to do that at home, you are not allowed to do that here. So this is my area, and
My
you
space.
yes, my space, and you're not going to be allowed to do that. And that can often be quite contentious. I've heard children tell you, "Oh, mommy, you're so stupid," and dad, you're so silly. I mean, I wouldn't dream of saying using words like that, well, whether to my parents or anyone older than me. But these were the sort of things I got. And it came to a point where I thought, okay, I needed a change and I needed to move on to something else. Government regulation was just becoming overbearing. And this is where the idea developed after about 2 years of thinking, okay, what would I like to do next? And I really wanted to do something that would make a difference, particularly with young people and children, just seeing anything that can help with the improving their behavior. So this is how the idea of etiquette training developed for me. And then as I did more and more research, I realized, which I did sort of know before, that quite often etiquette classes or training can be quite expensive. It's often quite the maybe people that are quite privileged or wealthy families that can often afford the training. So anyway, I started on this journey that, okay, I'm going to look at a way of getting some training and start a company, and as much as possible focus on helping young people to develop their social skills through etiquette training. So that is pretty much how I embarked on this journey, and trying to make it more affordable for people, so that more families can have access to it. And I often say to parents, when I sometimes they say, "Oh, it seems a bit expensive," and I say, "No, this is not expensive. This is an investment. I call it an investment because you're investing in your child and their future. You're investing in their development, for their future. This is something that's going to stay with them for a lifetime. So I wouldn't call it a cost or money." And I find that, yeah, most parents are quite happy. This is how much it is. I need to cover my costs. And most parents are quite happy. And I say, you have to look at it as an investment. And thankfully, a lot of the young people I've worked with, the parents do come back and they do see the difference. So I am in terms of me starting it, I'm still growing. And I know I made the right decision in starting Polished Manners.
Thank you so much. I have enjoyed my time with you.
Thank
And
you.
guys, this is the Civilized Presence. Hello, Mimi from Nigeria. It's great to have you here in the house. We have a global audience today, so I'm so excited. All of you who have been here from Asia, from Canada, from London, from Nigeria, from Ghana, and my friend Nafisat from Niger. Wow, Niger Republic in Africa. It's great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. I think Nafisa, we're going to have to do a French session, isn't it? What do you think? We have to do something in French. because the message is good. So I think we have to bring more people who can speak French and be able to work with our French audience. Africa, I find, has diverse cultures and languages,
Mhm.
but French kind of cuts across. A lot of people in the world speak French. So I think we're going to have to do that. And thank you so much, Ali. It's great to have you. So Ali says, well done, Laura. Yes, we are so excited. It was a
Thank
great
you.
message. I enjoyed working with you. So, Laura, I hate to ask you one more question, but
That's
your
okay.
co- your company, your company is Polished Miners. So, what comes to mind for me is that I can wake up as a diamond in the rough and come to your company and get polished, right? So, when can I achieve this polished status? What do I have to do for you to know, okay, this person now gets it. She's good to go. She can now graduate. What happens at the end of your program? Over to you, Laura.
Okay, one of the things that definitely happens is the way you actually carry yourself becomes quite evident. A
Mm,
lot of people aren't aware of how they sit and how they walk, the message the impression they're giving. But after an etiquette class, quite often, particularly the females, they tend to know, oh, these are the right ways to sit, or if I'm wearing a certain kind of dress or the length, this is the best way to sit, this is how to stand up. Even simple things from you drop something on the ground and you need to pick it up. There is a way
mm,
to look poised and polished in time, to pick up whatever it is you've dropped. So that in itself, your posture, your body language, all of that definitely improves. The way you treat people, the way you speak to people, you suddenly become a bit more aware of how you're coming across to people. Am I being kind? Am I speaking politely? Even when you've received a service you're not happy about. This is something we work on as well. You can complain without shouting down the phone or shouting abuse or verbal abuse at the person in front of you. Yes, they might have got your food wrong. Yes, they might have done something wrong, but there is still a polished way of doing things, of complaining and getting your voice heard without and being taken seriously without shouting, without hurling abuse at people. So that's one thing. You gain a better understanding of how to dress for different occasions. I'm going to the same cinema. I'm going to a friend's party. I'm going for lunch. I'm going to a place of worship. You start getting a sense of that in terms of making good first impressions, handshakes, eye contact, all of these things, even just general grooming, you have a better sense of what is acceptable. So these are the changes that you see. It might not be all at once, but as they say, when you first learn something, practice makes perfect. So the more you practice, it's intentional. You can't just say, okay, I've learned it. If you don't practice it, if you don't make a point of really using what you've learned, then you've just wasted your time. So it is intentional to gain that polished and poised look or way of life, if you want to say. So it takes practice, and that is one of the ways to go about it. But there definitely is a difference in someone. Even just understanding that, okay, I can have a disagreement with someone, but you can respect that you might not have the same view, but you can respect their opinions. These are the things that that you gain from coming on a course like that and getting that polished look and just really giving that image, that sort of image.
thank you so much. I think that your program brings hope to the society and to what is happening in the world. Incivility is in its crisis state. So we
It
need
is.
more and more people like you who are working all over the world, who have set up a program that's helping people to build the right soft skills and just taking care of people. I mean, talking about presence, what to wear, grooming, all of that is so important. Communication, it is so important important. Human relationships, it's so important. And that's where we're lacking so much. That's why there's so much pain in the world. And it's so easy for you to just enroll in a program and be part of what we're doing. So, guys, if you're struggling or you have someone who needs help, I am happy to help. If you're in London, UK, Laura is happy to help. So find her on Facebook. She's on Instagram as well. It's Laura Akano, or you can look for her company name, which is Polished Manners UK, and she'll be happy to connect with you. And guys, we've come to the end of this. I really hate to let you go, but I promised you a couple of days ago, we're going to start up the master series on how to increase your civility. Now, in the past few days, I had cold and I was not feeling so great. I didn't want to come up, sounding grumpy and sounding like an elephant. So I thought I'll respect that and just kind of calm down and take medication. But I'm back now. So we're going to start up the series today. Okay, and we're going to carry it on. How to increase your civility, the rules, and things that you can do if you're struggling. Little bits and pieces. It's going to be really short videos, short sessions of about 10 minutes. Won't take so much of your time, but you're going to learn enough nuggets. You're going to gather enough points and wisdom that will help you to be your best version of yourself. So thank you so much. I hope that you're going to have a wonderful Friday and weekend, and hope to see you on Monday, same time, 8 a.m. Eastern time. We'll be here again talking about another great topic. So I cannot leave without saying thank you, because without you, the show will not go on. So thank you for always being here, for believing in me, for the support. I love your emails and feedbacks, and just keep sending them to me. What topics do you want to hear? What topics do you want to learn about? Send me an email. It's on Louisa at thecivility.academy.com. Now, do you have a copy of my book? I hope so. But if you do not have it, you can get access to it on Amazon. It's The Civilized Leader. You can get access to it on Amazon. And if someone can help me just post the link in the comment box below, that would be great. And so I'm going to let you go. And I have to be civil and let Laura go so that she can come back another time. I have to respect her time too. Laura, thank you so much. It was
Thank you.
great hanging out with you. I learned a lot, and I'm going to go back on this video. And I believe that we are all very excited that you were here and have shared what is so important for our young people, a stepping stone, a place for them to begin from in learning what they need to succeed. So thank you so much, and have yourself a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye for
very
now.
much. Okay, bye bye.